Hello and welcome to a new pick a card reading. In today's reading, we are getting you a message from your inner child. So we are about to enter Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, and we currently have Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. Sagittarius and Gemini are sister signs. They sit opposite one another. And so these retrogrades are happening opposite one another. And both Gemini and Sagittarius and both being ruled by Mercury and by Jupiter, there's this really interesting interplay happening here. And all of these themes are themes that can be very heavy, but they can also be very delicate and they can be very playful and very sweet. Gemini energy, Sagittarius energy is really optimistic and hopeful and curious to the core. And Mercurial energy, Jupiterian energy, they're seeking to learn. And so this is a beautiful time to reconnect with your inner child. And so I am focusing during this time on getting you a message from your inner child so that you can kind of dig deeper. Depending on, you have to keep in mind this is a general reading. So there's going to be certain themes that are coming up for you, and then it will be your homework during these retrograde periods to dig deeper and connect with your inner child beyond this reading, okay? So I have prepared 4 groups for you today. We've got some stickers accompanying the different groups. I will show you the stickers, and then I also have 4 different tarot decks. I'm just going to cut the deck and give you a general vibe of what we're working with here. So we have group 1, 2, 3, and 4. Group 1, I know somebody's going to correct me if I get it wrong. Is this Jigglypuff? I have no idea. I'm so sorry. I do not mean to disrespect your religion. But this is a cute little guy. And then we're going to cut the deck. And this is what this deck looks like. This is the Star Spinner Tarot. That is a Page of Swords that came out. Love that. Beautiful energy. That is group number 1. Group 2, you have this bumbling little bee that has, I'm noticing, a lot of legs. I don't know what's going on there. Let's cut your deck. This is your deck. Oh, let me see. Do I have it upside down? I do not. There's some reversals in here. Okay, that's good to know. We have the 3 of Pentacles coming up for you, and this is what your deck looks like. And now I cannot for the life of me remember the name of it. Yeah, no, it's gone. Group number 3. This is your sticker. We have a little Sherlock Stitch, very inquisitive. And then this is your deck. We got the 8 of Pentacles. Can I give you, there we go. Very colorful, very bright. That is group number 3. And then group number 4, your sticker is a CD. Love that retro vibe. And then we're going to cut your deck. And we have another 8 of Pentacles. Can we get a little bit of focus? Or are we already heading into retrograde energy here? It's because I'm doing the reading in the dark today. I will tell you guys, I have done this reading for myself last night, getting myself some inner child messages, and it did make me cry. So get some tissues ready if you are on the sensitive side. And I felt like I kind of had to prepare myself all day, and it just kind of felt right to do this reading at night. So I'm going to give you a moment to zone in or zone out, whichever you need, in order to determine which group is calling you the loudest. Timestamps are in the description below, and I will meet you at your reading. Hi, Group 1. This is your reading if you chose this lovely little fella. We're going to set him right down here and we're going to get right into your reading. So we are getting you a message from your inner child. Don't know what's going to come up, but we're going to pull a couple of tarot cards and then a couple of oracle cards. I am hoping to keep today's readings short and sweet, but we'll see. You guys know I'm not great at short. I'm great at sweet, not so much short, but we'll see. Okay. Spirit, can we get for Group 1 a message from their inner child? What would their inner child like to say to them at this point in time? We have the Hierophant. Okay, that's a whole slew of cards. We'll take that first. Lovers. We have the Lovers. It's interesting because I'm immediately getting, and we have the Wheel of Fate, which is the Wheel of Fortune. It's interesting because I'm immediately getting from your energy. I specifically chose this deck because it has a very sweet energy, but the Hierophant coming out first, it's kind of like your inner child is really eager to know something in particular. There's like this very pressing matter. There's something that's very serious, but serious kind of like for a child. It's kind of like, did we do it? Did we do it? Did we get it? Like I'm getting like the energy of like any boy from like a 90s childhood nostalgia movie. Like the boys were always very kind of like, you know, very, very serious. There's something very inquisitive here. And we have the Three of Cups. And we have the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. Okay. I have something coming through, but this is not going to be for everyone, so just leave it if it doesn't resonate for you. But for some of you, there is this expression of this deep curiosity of, did we figure that out? And I think it has to do with sexuality or with gender expression. Either your own gender expression or who you feel attracted to. There's something where this put a lot of pressure on you at some point in time, and your inner child is very much like, did we figure it out? Do we know where we belong? Now, if it doesn't have to do with gender expression, it has to do with attraction. You may have felt, especially because this Hierophant has 2 keys, you may have felt ever since you were young that there was a very significant puzzle piece to you that was missing. And that could have been a person, or that could have been something that had to do with a parent. Like maybe you grew up with only one parent and that made you feel like there's something that you are seeking. And this is very serious. Like I'm getting like your inner child is like a little kid in a trench coat that's trying to be very serious. But with the Lovers, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Three of Cups, I'm also getting like, it starts off very serious, but then there is this relaxation that happens with this Three of Cups. There is this like, I knew we would. It's very sweet because there's something about making room for, again, if, let's say you grew up with only one parent, you may have experienced like this search for that other parent in whether it is that particular parent or in other people, like, you know, finding substitutes. And there's something about that having taught you how to be very open to integrating people that maybe are not related to you, that are not, there's something very, it's so interesting. I'm getting like the imagery of a walnut. And there's something like very like condensed and very like focused in this energy at first, but then your inner child recognizes that through life experiences you found a lot of that in yourself. I'm already getting emotional. My goodness. I was wondering how long I was gonna last. There's something that through life experiences you found that in yourself, what you were searching for, and your inner child, even though it asks, like the first question is like, did we get it? It knows. Your inner child knows that you were really seeking for something to complete you, for another person to complete you. And through your life experiences, you have learned that there's so much more beyond just finding that one other piece. Your search was somehow limited at first. Like you really thought like one singular piece or one singular person would be the answer. And I think you have come into yourself in a way that makes more room for, when we're talking about gender expression, this makes more room for like non-binary. This makes more room for a spectrum. This makes more room for less labels, less boxes. This makes room for feelings versus labels. But with the wheel of fate here, your inner child really is kind of like, I saw you circling. It was there. Oof. With the hanged man at the bottom of the deck, it was like, it was always within us. Tell me about this Hierophant. Okay, one at a time, please. I said one at a time. But there we go. We got the Temperance card. Yeah, it's like, did we find what we were looking for? And there's, again, something about duality, like very strong about duality, and you, throughout your life, recognizing that that's actually not it, that duality is not it. See, again, we have the Two of Cups here coming out underneath this Lovers. Duality. The Two of Wands, duality. This is not going to apply to everyone, but some of you here are bisexual for sure, because there is this feeling of like trying to understand, especially because the thing is that this deck has multiple depictions of the Lovers cards with same-sex couples, and this one is a male-female one, but then the Two of Cups here is two females, and then the Three of Cups here is two females and a male. And with this Two of Wands, there's kind of like this feeling like, is it this one or is it that one? And I think you learned it's both. And so if this doesn't apply to your sexuality, that's totally fine, because it still applies to some kind of worldview or some kind of experience. Yeah, and this is really breaking you free. We have the Eight of Wands coming out underneath that Three of Cups. And then we have the Page of Pentacles. So I think you've just recently figured this out for yourself, or you're in the process of figuring this out for yourself. Whatever this is, it's something that you used to see in a very dual nature. And it's almost, that's why it's like, did we figure it out? Oh, I'm getting emotional. That's why your inner child is saying, did we figure it out? Because your inner child always knew. It always knew there's two keys. It's not one key is you and one key is another person. It's there's duality here. There's something about you having either, like, this could be, for example, you thought you were always going to be in a certain career, and then life happened and you're like, wait, but I also want this. And you're realizing that your desire for different things means that you're meant to experience those different things. And so you are finally in a place to comfortably take action towards that with the Eight of Wands. And so your inner child is so excited. I can feel it. It's like it's strong heart chakra vibes. There's so much excitement. I'm also seeing that in the past, my eyes are watering. I'm seeing that in the past, this was really difficult for you because there was something forbidden. There was something you were told, like, no, you can't pursue that. And you're finally at a point where you recognize, oh, what I say matters, what I want matters. The Temperance card, it's this is giving heavy, like born this way. This is something that was innate within you, and there is some kind of duality within you. So again, whether this is your own gender expression, or whether this is who you find yourself attracted to, or whether this has to do with your life's passion, or whether this just has to do with how you understand yourself, right? It doesn't even have to be on an axis of sexuality or gender, just of how you see yourself, whether that is in any confinement, in any like social paradigm, right? The idea of like, oh, I'm smart, but I'm also sexy. For example, it can be really anything here, but there's something where you felt the need to like choose one, and your inner child is like, did we finally figure it out that you don't have to choose, that you don't have to like dismiss one over the other, that you have multitudes of self-expression, that you are a multifaceted being. And I think this came through with the Two of Wands. This came through an experience where you kind of felt like you were forced to choose, and your answer to that was, I refuse. I don't choose. I want it all. I deserve it all. And your inner child is so excited, because I think you stepping into that energy is going to allow it to come to the forefront and experience things that were denied previously. Wow. All right. I knew it was going to be intense, but we're talking liberation here. Liberation, and also the ability to be seen. Because with this Lover's card and the Two of Cups, there's just like this feeling of you having not allowed yourself to be seen as your full self in the past. Can we get some more messages from Group 1? Group 1's inner child. We have birth, absolutely. It's like, oh my God, you're finally. You're finally you. You're finally me. And we have flow. And that's connecting to this Temperance card. You're finally me. And change. Yeah, you're either going through this change right now, or you have been considering it, or you just recently went through some kind of change that is really all about liberating yourself and allowing yourself to be more in your authentic self-expression. And your inner child is so excited, because for your inner child, this feels like it's been waiting. And with this Page of Pentacles, it's kind of like, all right, now we start. Now we start. I love this. We have radical self-love. We can only receive love to the extent that we unconditionally love and live the truth of ourselves. Your inner child is so excited, because everything changes here. Everything changes. It's like it gets to live in a very expressive way. And so that's why it's been waiting. That's why it was so serious, the energy in the beginning, because it's like, oh my God, because you probably have been at the precipice of this a few times. You probably have told yourself multiple times, okay, I'm gonna do it. Okay, I'm gonna embrace this. I'm gonna but it took you a while to understand it yourself. And so, your inner child's just been kind of waiting to get to the surface. And so this feels that's why it was so serious. Like, is this it? Is this it? And it feels like it is. Okay, can we get some advice from your inner child? Can we get some advice? What is an energy for Group 1 to release? And then what is an energy to embrace? your inner child is so excited. We have hedonist as an energy to embrace, and we have femme fatale as an energy to release, to let go of. This says inappropriate use of sensuality, attachment to money, and power. And so with femme fatale is an energy that is very self-aware of what their energy is and what is expected of them, the power of their sensuality, the power of their sexuality. And so Spirit is saying, because with femme fatale, it's very much, we're talking male gaze. We're talking the awareness of what other people expect of you because of the way that you look. And so this, as an energy to release, is less about focusing on what you are perceived as versus what pleasure you can experience. Hedonist inspires creative energy to embrace the good things in life, celebrates beauty in yourself. And so we are definitely, again, take only what resonates, but I think there's a huge theme of sexuality here. And it's about embracing, because this could also be the difference. It doesn't necessarily mean that there is a change or a shift in your sexuality, but that maybe you grew up as someone who was placed upon like the watchful eye of a certain religion, or expectations in how a woman should show up, how a man should show up, and that certain pleasures are not to be had out loud. And with hedonist, we're not just talking about sexuality, we're talking about sensuality, right? Sensual can be the experience of really embracing good food, embracing things that just bring sensual and physical pleasure to you. And so it could be that you came from a place where you really kind of suppressed a lot of pleasure, and your inner child is so excited because you are embracing yourself more, and that means you are about to embrace so much more pleasure in your life. Oof, I can feel it. Let's get you a moon card from your inner child. We have boundaries. All right, so the boundaries card, I think, is definitely talking about, I just realized I forgot to grab a deck that I want. The boundaries card is definitely talking about breaking through some kind of boundaries here. I want to show you this up close. There's like a crack that was formed, and it would have been some kind of inspiration, some kind of experience, and it was something very delicate, something very sweet, and it formed a crack, and then now your boundaries, your walls are coming down. These two women look very similar. Okay. Let's get two from this deck. We get more messages from Group 1's inner child. Your inner child is very excited. We have rise up. The human body is vapor materialized by sunshine mixed with the life of the stars. Very excited. Super stoked. It's like your inner child has been waiting to get picked up. And it's like, oh my God, you told me that when you pick me up, we're going for ice cream. So your inner child is like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Supremely free. I want to tell you that this deck has a couple of these chromatic cards, and you got two of them. We also have hoist up your sails. Do not fear the ocean of the unknown. Eternity begins and ends with the ocean's tides. Supremely free. Wild rejoice in jungles, not in cages. You have freed yourself, and I'm so excited for you. And look at these parrots. This is all about self-expression. I'm going to grab one more deck that I want to use. Don't know why I forgot to grab it. This is beautiful. So your inner child is just so stoked, so excited, because you are headed into a more authentic expression of yourself. And again, that means you have so much joy ahead of you. Of course, you know, getting to understand yourself, getting to learn more about yourself also comes with frustrations, but your inner child doesn't care about that. Your inner child is just like, I don't care. Like, yeah, there's going to be limitations and obstacles that you run into, but your inner child is really excited because it gets to have fun, and it probably gets to have fun that it didn't get to have either in a long time or ever. Any last considerations or advice for group 1? We have the snake. This has always been within you. And look at rise up for the second time. This has always been within you, because when I look at the snake, I think about the fact that when the snake sheds its skin, the pattern stays the same. And so this has always been within you, and it's just a matter of you actually embracing it instead of denying it. Your inner child is super excited, and I am excited for you as well, because it seems like there is a true there's a true embracing of self that is either taking place or that is about to take place, and it's really going to help you overcome a lot of self-doubt, and it's going to help you overcome a lot of, and just break free from dogma and break free from expectations that would only keep you caged and keep you small. So especially with this 8 of Wands, this has also been something that has kept you from grounding your manifestations. So your inner child is really excited because it's kind of like there's a lot of things that are about to come into your life that you have been wondering, like, why hasn't that happened? Why hasn't this happened? And it's because you had these blockages because you weren't fully embracing yourself. And the more that you embrace yourself, the more you create space to be yourself, the more these boundaries come down and the manifestations can ground. So this is super exciting. I'm going to leave it there. I hope that this resonates. I hope that it gives you something to look forward to, because your inner child is so excited. So keep pushing. If you are at the beginning of this transformation, keep pushing, because it's going to be so worth it. Like I said, this is really just a general sort of push, but use this as a starting point to get more in touch with your inner child and see what you can dig up in the next coming weeks. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. If you would like to book a personal reading, you can do so only on my website. The information is linked below. Other than that, I do hope I get to read for you again sometime. Until then, take care. Hi, group 2. This is your reading if you chose this chubby little bee. We are going to set it down right here and get right into your reading. So we are getting you a message from your inner child. We don't know what's going to come out, but we are going to pull a couple of tarot cards and then get some oracle cards. I'm hoping to keep the messages short and sweet, but we know how I go, so we'll see. Spirit, can we get for pile 2 some messages from their inner child? It's interesting because for your group right now, twice already, me saying inner child, your higher self wanted to come through both times. Both times that I said inner child. I feel like your higher self and your inner child are actually kind of hanging out together. We'll get some messages from group 2's inner child. We have the 6 of Swords. Oh, wow. Immediately getting a strong message here with the 6 of Swords. And then we have the 6 of Pentacles. They're saying you're safe. They're saying you're not there anymore. You're not where you used to be. You're not who you used to be. There's a real... I definitely feel like your inner child is very much closely connected to your higher self. And that's actually not something that I've thought about very much. It's not like they're separated, right? They're both you, but they're different expressions of you. But I do feel that you may have been doing a lot of healing work. I think you in particular have either in unconventional ways learned a lot, meaning through reading stories that sort of helped you transmute certain energies, or you have gone to therapy or sought out some kind of counseling through things like this, tarot. There's something where you have done a lot of work into healing yourself, and they want you, your inner child wants you to remember to rest. Because you seem very, I mean, even with the bee, right? You seem very busy in trying to improve and trying to grow and trying to understand. And they want you to rest. They want you to rest. It's coming through very strongly. So we have the Six of Swords, we have the Six of Pentacles. You're not there anymore. There's also something about trust. And look at, with the bee, we have the Sun card, which is represented in this deck by like a little hive lady, a queen bee, if you may. That's interesting because that is actually giving me, you have planted seeds long ago that are working for you. You have done things, you have set things into motion that you don't constantly have to keep checking in on. That these are things that kind of develop on their own without you being overbearing, without you being overly critical. You're very self-critical and you have very high expectations in yourself. Your inner child wants you to rest, and I know I'm repeating myself, but it's coming through very strongly. We have the Knight of Wands, and then we have the Queen of Wands. You're focusing a lot on how to be better, on how to heal, on how to improve. They want you to have more fun. I mean, that makes sense. It's your inner child. Your inner child is always going to want you to have more fun because, you know, we forget. But with the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Wands here, you may think, believe, you may know that you have a hard time with moderation. You are being just as restrictive. Wait, let me try and say this again. Because you have a hard time with moderation, you think you have to be super strict. But what I'm getting from your inner child is that your strictness is also an expression of lack of moderation. You get what I mean? It's kind of like you feel like, no, I can't go out and have fun because then that's all I do for weeks and then I can't get back on the wagon, right? There may be some issues with substances here, but only take it if it resonates. But there's this feeling of like, if I fall off the wagon, then I'm off the wagon, and then it takes so much strength to get back on the wagon. And so I feel there's this spectrum of like, you either allow yourself nothing or you completely lose control. And so Spirit is saying allowing yourself nothing is not a form of healing. It's not a form of, it is a form of control, but the issues aren't being resolved by just ignoring all things that allow you to express joy and fun. Meaning that when you kind of focus on just self-improvement or betterment, that you're using different tools but inflicting the same pain. You got a very smarty pants inner child, and I think that's probably because you're a very smarty pants. This deck in particular, I know, is very drawn to very analytical people, so I'm not surprised whatsoever. But damn, your inner child really is like, but you know, that's what happens. Children can see sometimes the things that we as adults, we overcomplicate things, and a child can be like, well, that's dumb because that's doing the same thing just differently, but like the outcome is the same, which is gripping on to control. All right. Oof. Tell me about the Six of Swords. We have the Four of Swords. Oof, okay, yeah, for some of you, this is definitely talking about family trauma, trauma from a home life. And with the Four of Swords, you are, again, with the Four of Swords coming out underneath the Six of Swords, you're being reminded that you are not there anymore. You keep it within you. There's something about like a trauma that you have internalized, which of course is, that's how trauma works. But there's something where, again, you're being reminded by your inner child, we are not there anymore. I don't want to live that on a daily basis. We got away from there. Don't make me live through that. Whew. Feels almost like a reoccurring nightmare. And obviously it's easy to say like, oh, you don't need to focus on healing. You just need to, like let it go. But that's easier said than done. But I think what your inner child is saying is that we don't need to be completely healed. We just need to be able to manage. And in order to be able to manage, we need moderation. And in order to have moderation, we need to be able to have fun as well and be able to follow our impulses as well. We have the Knight of Cups coming out underneath the Six of Pentacles. Your inner child is kind of, I will say, your inner child is kind of angry a little bit. Because you may have experienced some kind of conditioning where you were brought up to appease other people's emotions instead of your own, and your inner child is sort of fed up with that. And that is probably something that you have been working on, but it's coming through here as something that is, with the Knight of Cups, we're talking about emotional bravery that is needed to free yourself, because with the Six of Cups, you're very giving. With the Sun, you're very giving. You're emitting energy. You're constantly emitting outward, and yet you are not getting enough rest. And so it's kind of like you're keeping your mind busy so that it won't fall into this nightmare place. And so that's the thing. You're either constantly trying to improve yourself and keeping yourself busy. And then when you're not busy, that's when you fall into the danger of distraction. But your inner child is saying keeping yourself busy is also a form of distraction, right? Your inner child did not come to play. It's a little upset. Okay. Let's get one more here. That is the Judgment card that came out underneath the Sun. And that's what I'm feeling. Like your inner child is kind of enacting some kind of judgment here and saying like, who are we doing this for? We have the Ace of Pentacles. And then we have the Hierophant. Who are we doing this for? It's coming through strongly. Because here there's a lot of like, it's okay. It's okay. We're not there anymore. Like you don't have to. There's something within like your perception. Like I'm seeing like a dial that's turned up. The volume is turned up all the way. It's like you have an antenna and it's turned up all the way to the highest sensitivity. And your inner child is saying, I'm exhausted. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to constantly be scared. I also don't want to think that if I just show up differently, if I just am different, that I wouldn't be susceptible to what this is. Ooh, this is rough. This is rough because I can feel your judgment and I can feel also the frustration of like, well, how am I supposed to stop that? Like, that's just how I operate. You really need to focus on your lower chakras. You need to focus on, I'm getting like jaw pain. Like there's so much tension here. Your inner child wants you to see, because I'm feeling a lot of tension right now, because I can feel your energy being like, well, give me the answer. Well, tell me what I need to do and I'll do it. And I'm like, that's the problem. That's the problem, because your inner child is like, we don't want to do. We want to just be. And that's this Knight of Wands. Like, there's something where you feel like if I just show up in a certain way, there's definitely like a lot of perfectionism that is hurting you. But if I just show up in a certain way, then I'll be okay. And it's like, no, you need to accept that you are okay even when you're unhealed, that you are okay, but you are safe. You are safe, but there's something where you have just like really intense expectations, and it's almost like it's not your own. I see that with the Hierophant here. It's not your own expectations. It's something that you've internalized. It is some kind of school of thought, some kind of study, some kind of structure, religion, some kind of, it could even just be psychology. Like it's something that you've maybe studied, even that you were exposed to from a young age. And because of that, you're constantly weighing yourself. This could also, for some of you, have to do with body issues, because you're constantly weighing yourself. And there's something, look at how like there's this perception of like, I'm either good or I'm animalistic. And there's something here where your inner child is saying like, you know what? If that's how we're weighing it, I'd rather be an animal. I'd rather be an animal than live under those heavy expectations. Okay. But I want you to know that your inner child is very frustrated. It is exhausted from being scared, and it is exhausted from being scrutinized. But it wants you to be able to free yourself from that because it loves you, okay? There's not a lack of love, absolutely not. Your inner child loves you and wants you to be free. Can we get some more messages here from your inner child? Yeah, look at. All right, we have unknown and fear, and that's exactly what I was getting here. It's like you fear everything. And trust me, I'm not judging you, but I think your inner child is just very exhausted. Your inner child you probably have had a lot of experiences that put you in this place, that put you in a position to be very anxious. But your inner child is saying, I'm so sick and tired of being afraid of everything and expecting the worst, especially because it's kind of like you don't know what the unknown holds, but you have 5 million reasons of why it's bad. We have voice. You are here to be known, so speak and be seen. Your inner child is like, I see the blues in this first card and in this last card. I see you as someone who wants to make you want to make yourself perfect in anticipation of being accepted and being loved, but also like you want to make things right for everyone else. Big people pleaser tendencies here. And so your inner child is saying like, what are you so afraid of when it comes to expressing yourself? You have, with this Hierophant, what I was saying earlier, like this internalized scrutiny, it's almost like even when you're alone, you have a mental audience. And that could be a parent, that could be a god that can be many things, but you have a mental audience even when you're alone. And so even in your solitude, even between like you and your inner child, you don't allow yourself to speak freely because you have some kind of mental audience. And to be honest, your inner child is just kind of, like I said, very exhausted and very sick of it. Can we get some advice from your inner child? What is an energy for group 2 to release, to let go of? We have child, eternal. And then energy to embrace, we have destroyer. This makes sense because this eternal child, it says inability to grow up and be responsible. I wouldn't focus too much on that, but extreme dependency on others for physical security. And I see that very strongly because that's I think something that you come from, right? From a place that did not offer you either physical or emotional security. And because of that, you have internalized that fear. And your inner child is kind of like, we're not there anymore. And we need to recognize that we are now grown up and we cannot depend on others to supply us the security of physical security, right? The security of things being okay. Like, we have to establish that within ourselves, because again, it's coming through so strong. Like, it's almost like your inner child is like, I just want you to be able to rest, to be able to sleep, to feel safe. And you have a really hard time doing that because you've internalized a lot of things. But on the surface, you say, no, everything's fine. I'm fine because I got to keep everyone else happy. And it's not true, because the energy that your inner child wants you to embrace, I'm telling you, your inner child is fed up. The destroyer card, it wants you to let the things that are eating you up on the inside, to let them out. So for some of you, I will say, some of you have something's eating you up on the inside. And even though you have been trying to heal and have been maybe doing therapy or something like that, there's something that you have not touched on. There's something that you have not said out loud, because there is some sort of overpowering audience that won't even let you go there, because you have internalized this belief system, this God, this parent, this abuser. There's someone that you have so ingrained in your brain that you can't even, within the intimacy of you and yourself, or you and a counselor, you and a therapist, that you can't even bring yourself to open that box. Take it only if it resonates. For others, it's not that extreme. It's really just that, you have a tendency to people please and to not want to rock the boat. And therefore you internalize things, but therefore you then don't get to experience any real security because you're insecure on the inside. That doesn't mean that you are an insecure person, but you create insecurity within yourself because you're not expressing when something is uncomfortable. And so your inner child, this card says releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for new life. Your inner child says it's time for this volcano to erupt, because your inner child has had it. Whew, very intense. Get a moon card here. We have gratitude. I honestly feel like that is coming out now, because I could feel like I felt that in my chest with the destroyer card. Like, that was really intense energy, and I feel like this gratitude card is coming out as in like that release afterwards you will be so grateful for, and they will be so grateful for, and they want you to connect with someone that can help you through this. So no, you don't have to do it on your own. You don't have to figure it out on your own, and you don't have to be a particular way in order for you to feel better. But there is something about acknowledging something about yourself that's going to make you feel better. But they also want to point out, connecting to the Six of Swords again, that they are very grateful that you did what you needed to do. The fact that they're not trying to criticize you, but they're saying it's enough. You did what you needed to do to protect your inner child, right? The anxiety that you feel is because you were constantly protecting. But you're at a point now where your inner child says, I'm getting emotional, where your inner child says, it's okay, I am safe, and you are safe, but now we have to figure out how to enjoy. Oof. Let's get 2 cards from this deck. Yeah, we have embrace your growth. A weed is but an unloved flower. Your inner child is saying, like, you have come so far. You don't need to hold on to like the same protective mechanisms. And then we have abundance. This deck only has a few like holographic cards, and group 1 also got 2 holographic ones, and you got 2 holographic ones. It says abundance. Everything you need has already been supplied. Exactly. Your inner child is saying there's nothing that you need to like acquire. There's nothing else that you need to prove about yourself. You have everything you need in order for you to embrace this Ace of Pentacles with this Knight of Wands. It's just about you allowing yourself to kind of use what you have, because I think you have a tendency to use what you have for other people's good. Okay. Any last considerations or advice for group 2? We have trust. Yep, that's exactly it. I almost feel like your inner child is kind of like trying to return the favor by being angry, because there's something that there's a pattern that you have that evolved because you were like, I gotta keep myself safe, right? And now that you're older, it's gotten to a point where it is creating the opposite environment, where it's creating you feeling unsafe within your own body. And so I think your inner child is trying to return the favor by, when you were very young, you realized, I have to protect myself. And that probably put you in a place of being more mature than you should have had to have been. And I think your inner child is now returning the favor. Oh, I'm getting emotional again. Because your inner child is more mature than it should. That's why it's sitting right next to your highest self, because your inner child is very mature, and your inner child is now showing up and trying to return the favor and saying, I am strong enough to protect me on the inside. I need you to allow yourself to have fun and to experience things, and trust that we will manage and that we will be safe and that we have each other. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. I know this one was quite the serious one, but like I said in the beginning, this is the starting point for you to reflect on more. This is for you to kind of get the ball rolling, to connect more with your inner child and see where that takes you in the next couple of weeks, okay? I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really hope that it resonates. If you would like to book a personal reading, you can do so only on my website. The information is linked in the description below. Other than that, I do hope I get to read for you again sometime. Until then, take care. Hi, Group 3. This is your reading. If you chose this Stitch sticker, we're going to put him right up here and get right into your reading. We are going to get a message from your inner child. And we're going to do that via a couple of tarot cards, and then we'll pull some oracle cards. Don't know what's gonna come out, but it's bound to be interesting with this deck, to be honest. All right, this one was kind of a wild card. I didn't see myself picking this one, but here we are. So let's see. For group 3, can we get messages from their inner child? What do they need to hear from their inner child right now? We have the 7 of Swords. We have the 4 of Wands. I love that. This is kind of cheeky already because this is giving very much like, you know what? We did what we needed to do. We did what we needed to do. With the 7 of Swords. Let's see. I'm getting the sense that, all right. We have the 8 of Swords. And we have the King of Wands. And then we have the 6 of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, this is coming through strongly. We did what we needed to do. You may have a hard time with judging yourself for certain things, for certain past actions. The 7 of Swords is a hoarding of resources. I get the sense that you may have issues around moderation. This is something that came through in group 2 as well, but a little bit differently, because for you, I think it's more so about consumption. I'm getting binging, not necessarily eating, but like hoarding. There's this feeling of your inner child is like collecting things, hoarding things, also hoarding information on people, hoarding evidence, receipts. There's perhaps some trust issues here. And I think this came from a place of resources fluctuating when you were young. Resources fluctuating in a way where it's kind of like if you had a little nest egg, if you hoarded something, then you didn't have to depend on others to be able to provide for you. And so I think you, something that came through with the 8 of Swords, and I'm not quite sure why, but there's something that came through here around understanding the gray areas of things. So in particular, what came through is the 5-finger discount. I don't know why. But if you have experience with, all right, I'm just going to be straightforward. I do get the sense that I'm talking to someone who understands that morality is not the same as honesty. You can be dishonest and still be a morally good person. That's kind of what's coming through here. I feel like I'm dealing with someone here who has had a past, perhaps even a present, where the things that you say, the things that you do, could be taken out of context and put in a way that makes you look like you're not completely spotless. I'm getting someone here who's very clever. I get that you have learned how to play the game. I'm getting street smart. I'm getting evasive. I'm getting a lot of you did what you had to do to survive. You did what you had to do to get by. I'm also getting from Oliver and Company, Why Should I Worry? I got Street Smarts. I got New York City Heart. Why should I worry? What are the other words to that? Why should I worry? Why should I care? Just be my patient. I got me some of it. So somebody very... Okay, but what your inner child is trying to say here is like, don't fall victim to other people's judgments, because why should we worry about that? Because they don't know where we come from. They don't know what we've seen. Your inner child is kind of a badass, especially with this King of Wands. They're also very impressed. They're like, what? We did that? Hell yeah. They're very impressed with who you've grown into. Tell me more about the Seven of Swords. I get the sense that I'm going to get a much sweeter layer, because this is very kind of like, I don't know, this is a little bit of a showy energy here, and it's I think I'm going to get a little bit more here. We have the Two of Swords coming out underneath the Seven of Swords, and that is exactly what I was talking about, like understanding there's something like very clever about your energy, and you had to be clever from a very young age. And you also had to understand how to not let that cleverness show. You had to present, you had to allow yourself to be perceived as not as smart as you actually were at times, because you recognized it helped you to get away with certain things, or it helped you take the pressure off somehow. We have the Five of Cups. You had to create your own stability. With the Four of Wands coming out with the Five of Cups, you had to create your own stability because there was a lot of grief that you experienced. There was a lot of loss, and very much a lack of stability in your home life, or, not a lot of assurance, not a lot of emotional assurance in your home life. Which one? Okay, this one, because that's the only single one. See, Knight of Cups. I knew it. I knew that you're actually a sweetie pie at heart. We have the Knight of Cups coming out underneath the Eight of Swords. Okay, see, that's now where your inner child is coming through, because your inner child is saying, you know what, you did what you needed to do to get by. But because of that, you've also, I'm getting Zorro now, the Mask of Zorro. Because you did what you needed to get by, you learned how to present yourself in any given situation. But because of that, you sort of created some distance. Oh, I can feel it now. I can feel it in my heart chakra. You created a lot of distance between like your emotional self and who you present yourself to be. So you have like these different personas that work in different environments, and your inner child is at a point now saying, you know what, we did what we needed to do, and that got us by, and that is a skill, and we're so clever, and we're so cool. But really, the reason that we did all of that was to protect ourselves, and now we gotta understand how to allow someone in with the Knight of Cups. Give me one more for the King of Wands. We have the Three of Pentacles. I will take both of these because they came out together. We have the Three of Pentacles coming out with the Ace of Cups, and that makes a lot of sense to me. And then we have the Temperance card. Absolutely. This is... Okay. Your inner child is saying like, oh my God, we're such a badass. We're such a badass. I love it. But we did all of that so that we could, I'm hearing a lot, and it's so funny that Zorro came through because I'm hearing just like a lot of metal clinking and like swords. Zorro is coming through so strongly. I don't know why. But I'm thinking of like and it's been freaking years since I've watched it, so I can't even tell you, like I'm sure there's something very significant to like the storyline, but all I'm thinking of right now is like the difference between the fighting and the passion, right? There's something here about you having a strong undercurrent of passion, but you mask it because you're constantly trying to protect yourself. And so your inner child is like, oh my God, we're so cool. But cool is not all that you want to be. Because with the King of Wands, your inner child is also like, okay, but because the King of Wands is extremely passionate and extremely like hot-blooded. And so that in combination with the Three of Pentacles, it's about working together. And here we're seeing this energy of like your inner child being like, yeah, we had to look out for ourselves. Like we couldn't trust anyone. We always had to have our own back. And your inner child is like, but we did that to protect ourselves so that we would have something to give. Because again, you were like hoarding resources, but you were not just hoarding resources just to like maintain your own safety. You want to build something with someone, and that's coming through strongly. And it's like you have to open up here. And with the King of Wands and the Three of Pentacles, it's about opening up, not necessarily just in a romantic way. This can also have to do with, you opening up when it comes to friendship, opening up when it comes to collaborative efforts, when it comes to work. Because your inner that bleeds into everything. Your inner child is saying, we come from a place where it was kind of like you had to have your own back. I'm also getting like, I'm thinking of like Italian, like the stereotypical like Italian mafia movie, because again, there's something about like the street smarts, but there's also the passion. Street smarts and passion. Your inner child is saying, we did this, we've been so protective for a reason. But it wants to be able to show off now. Because that's the thing, like there's a lot that you hide away. And your inner child is like, okay, but I'm so proud of who we are. I want to show off. I want, whether that's showing off your wealth, whether that's showing off your wisdom, because you may still be in operating under this idea, like, no, I can't let people know how smart I am, or I can't let people know how accomplished I am, because somebody's going to come take it away from me. But your inner child is like, but I want to show off. And it's not coming from like a shallow place. It's coming from a place of pride, yes, but it's coming from a place of wanting to be able to also enjoy what you've created for yourself, within yourself, even if that doesn't have anything to do with like material things. It's an emotional security that you've built for yourself, but it's an emotional security that you've built because you have this incredible security system built around your emotions. I keep thinking of a moat, and I'm thinking of that because there is like a castle in the background here, and then this Knight of Cups energy is like so far removed from that. And so I'm thinking of a moat, and it's kind of like you've built the most impressive moat, which like keeps you very protected, but it also keeps you very isolated. And so with this Ace of Cups, it's kind of like, again, you've hoarded so much, but you want to give. And so the Temperance card is about things flowing in both directions. And so that is sort of what your inner child is trying to say here, is that we gotta leave a little we gotta leave a little door. You gotta leave a little door for something or someone to come in here. But I will say, you're very clever. You're very wise, and there's a word that's trying to come through. You're very capable. There's a word that wants to come through. It's gonna bug me. I don't know, it's not coming through, but it's basically just saying that you're very you're very quick with your wit. You're quick-witted. You're clever. You're very wise in experiences. You're like a salt of the earth person. You're very gritty too. You got grit. That's what wanted to come through. You got grit. Can we get some more messages from group 3's inner child? You got grit. We have fear. And we have nurture. Oof. Oof, I'm sorry, your inner child's coming for your neck, because it's saying, why are you afraid to receive? You are so used to taking, you're not used to receiving. Oh, your inner child wants you to open up so bad. That's intense. You are so used to taking, you're not used to receiving. That's intense. And I say that because that is shocking to hear, because listen, I'm not judging, not whatsoever, but that was a channel that came straight through, and so that can shock me at times, because I know that shit can land. Wow. Your fear is stopping you from receiving. And yet your fears are rooted in the fact that you wouldn't receive, so you learned how to take. I'm also now getting, I don't know what's up with all the Disney songs, but I'm getting Aladdin, One Jump. I steal only what I can't afford. Oh, you're hella giving Aladdin vibes. I steal only what I can afford, and that's everything. Gotta stay. One jump. Henchman. One jump. And the way that he tries to show off for Jasmine, because he thinks oh, she's gonna want all of this pompous. She's gonna want all of this because she's a princess. And in the end, she's just I don't care about that. Hella Aladdin vibes. What she wanted was authenticity. What she wanted was for Aladdin to be real with her. Your inner child wants that. What do we got? Creative power. Yes, absolutely. Because here's the thing. It says release your alchemical energy into the world. Okay, this depiction has a pregnant woman. And a woman cannot become pregnant just on her own, right? This is a metaphorical image. But when we're talking about creative power, we are talking about archetypal energy, which is coming through here with this 3 of Pentacles, with the Ace of Cups, and with the Temperance card. It takes 3 elements to create something. It takes inspiration, your ability to, or your readiness to show up, the inspiration, and then the trust that those 2 come together and then make something, right? It's 3 elements. And so we see that with this 3 of Pentacles, 2 things coming together, the inspiration, and then that creating something new. And the way that your energy, your inner child is saying, the way that your patterns are set up, you have a hesitancy around allowing another thing to come meet you, so then you can't create another thing, right? So this says open your mind, and if you keep this door closed, then nothing can come in and then nothing can be created, which means you're also not open to inspiration, which means that can be a blockage in your sacral chakra. Your sacral chakra is the energy center in your genitals. And so this could show up as some blockage around sexual expression, but it can also show up as a blockage around creative expression, because our sacral chakra is about sexuality, sensuality, but it is also about creative expression. Our creativity, our ability to make things. And so your inner child is saying that it wants to create things, right? With the King of Wands here, this is masculine energy. You're potent. You want to create things. That doesn't necessarily mean that you want to create children. Absolutely not. It means that you want to be able to provide something, but you're not emotionally open to fully do that because you are so used to taking. But what you actually want to do is give. All right, all right. Let's get you some advice from your inner child. For group 3, what is an energy that they should release, let go of? Who's an energy group 3 should release or let go of? We have Knight. And then what is an energy for group 3 to embody more of, to grow towards? We have Child, Orphan. That's interesting because I think that you would think that these cards should be flipped. Yeah, look we have Samaritan at the bottom of the deck. You need to be able to work together with others. You have a very lone wolf energy, and I think you would think that these cards should be flipped because you come from hyper independence and that you got to make a name for yourself, that you need to depend on yourself. But this Knight as an energy to release, to let go of, look at how armored up this Knight is. First of all, he's on a horse. So whoever he's talking to, whoever he meets, he's not even meeting them at ground level, at eye level. He looks down on people. So he's already elevating himself, completely protected, because he had to be, because he was going into battle, right? But Spirit is saying, or your inner child is saying that we need to kind of let go of the battle. The battle days are over. It says allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle, romantic delusions. And I think the romantic delusions may have to do with the idea of that you can create something sustainable without opening up, without making yourself vulnerable, and that's just not the case. So then the energy to embrace more of, we have Child, Orphan. It says independence based on learning to go it alone, conquering fear of surviving. Because you're not conquering your fear if you're still holding back your resources, what you're able to provide. And with embracing the fact that you had to provide so much for yourself, this puts you in a place of vulnerability. This puts you in a place of recognizing, hey, it's just me and I kind of need something else here. The Knight energy is kind of like, I don't need nobody. And this Child, Orphan energy is saying your inner child is literally saying, I need someone. I need someone. All right. Sorry, I don't know why, but I felt like that had to sit. That had to marinate in silence for a moment. Let's grab this deck. Can we get a moon card here? We have creation. And look at that card came out with another card underneath it, and it says acceptance. Yeah, you got to let something in here. You're having a hard time allowing something in, and you got to because your inner child wants to. Your inner child is bored by just you, yourself, and you. Your inner child is like, dude, I'm trying to play. I'm trying to have fun. I'm trying to kick it with a homie or something. You're just like, no, I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody in here. It's you are very impressive. You have survived this far. You have, you've gotten yourself out of situations and probably into some situations that a lot of people wouldn't have known how to get into or out of. But it's time for you to find a connection where you can put down your armor. Can we get 2 from this deck? We have supremely free. Wild rejoice in jungles, not in cages. Yep. And then what you are asking for requires more time. The distinction between the past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. This is interesting. What you are asking for requires more time. What is it that you're asking for? You want connection, but you don't want to go through the process of, you don't want to go through the vulnerability of connecting. Your inner child wants to create. This is asking you for patience with yourself. When you take off your armor, when you allow some kind of connection to take place, you feel like it needs to feel safe immediately. And your inner child is reminding you that that will not be the case. You will feel vulnerable, you will feel naked, but you will feel free. And so you need to have patience with yourself, because what you're asking for is connection. But it requires time, and it requires a process. You can't just go from feeling one thing to feeling a completely other thing. Like, there is a transition period in between where you are taking off your armor, but you're not fully embraced by the safety of this person or this wish, this life fully embracing you. They can't fully embrace you until you've completely taken off the armor, but you don't want any in-between time. You're concerned about that. Of I'm vulnerable, I'm at risk in between the stages of taking off my armor and being accepted by whatever it is that you're exposing yourself to. But your inner child is saying that the freedom that you get from taking off that armor and those masks is worth it in itself. Okay. Any last considerations or advice for group 3? Oh my god, each reading I've done has gotten a little bit longer. I meant to keep it sweet and short. We have follow it, and look at, you're getting a second one. We have protected at the bottom of the deck. There's some kind of connection here that is protected, so don't worry about it. Take your time. We have follow it and pass between. Yeah, your inner child wants you to know that you've gone through worse. We have follow it and pass between. Your inner child is definitely connecting maybe with somebody else's inner child, or with a dream, with a hope. And your inner child is like, we're such a badass. We cannot be scared off by something as simple as feelings. But you are being guided. You are being nudged by your intuition right now. And so your inner child is saying, let's follow that. Let's see where it takes us. And pass between is, like I said, those different stages of taking off your armor and not being fully embraced yet. Your inner child is saying, we got this. We got this. So very encouraging. Again, your inner child is a little badass. Your inner child is very impressed with what you've been able to survive and to accomplish. But it wants to connect because you've experienced so much misconnection and so much loss. Your inner child is like, we want to experience some joy and some love here, so let us do that. Whee. All right, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really hope that it resonates. Like I said, this is really just kind of like the first push for you to do your own reconnection with your inner child over the next coming weeks. So take this as a starting point and try to spend some time with your inner child and see what comes up beyond this general message. Other than that, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so only on my website. The information is linked in the description below. And I do hope I get to read for you again sometime. Until then, take care. Hi, Group 4. This is your reading. If you chose this CD sticker, we are going to set that down right here. Perfect. And we're going to get right into your reading. So we are getting a message from your inner child. Don't know what's going to come out, but we are going to pull a couple tarot cards and then we'll get some oracle cards to round the message out. Keep in mind, this is just a starting point for you to reconnect with your inner child a little bit more over the coming weeks. So what do we need to address? For Group 4, let's get some messages from their inner child. What are some things that Group 4 needs to hear from their inner child right now? We have the King of Pentacles. Oh, wow. Immediately, your inner child is so proud, is so impressed by you. Very impressed by what you've been able to create. The way you've been able, we have the Wheel of Fortune, the way you've been able to turn the wheels in your favor. I'm getting so much awe, like, oh, wow. One at a time, please. Thank you. Holy cow, we have the Empress. Are you kidding? Your inner child is so proud of you. You are so beautiful. They're literally like, oh my God, we are so cool and we are so beautiful. We are so, like, you have created like so much stability for yourself, whether that is materially or internally or both. Wow. And we have the Justice card. Oh my goodness. They are so proud. And we have the Seven of Wands. It's like, oh my God, how did you even do all that? There's so much awe. I will tell you, you are Group 4, right? So I've done the other ones, and some of the, some of the other energies were kind of more mature in some ways. Your inner child feels very young and very impressed and very wowed. And very, I'm getting like this energy, sometimes you see videos of like young children seeing a woman in like a gown or a costume. I've seen a couple of these online where it's like a photo shoot and then there's like a young child and it's like, are you a fairy? Or are you a princess? And that's what I'm getting from your inner child, like super impressed by you. And with the Justice card here, it's also like this feeling of like, I knew it. This is so sweet. Let's get some more. Tell me about this King of Pentacles. We have the Judgment card coming out in reverse. I will take it as that. I will take it in reverse. They're so proud of you, of the way that you've been able to reject other people's judgments, and the way that you've been able to walk to your own drum. There's a saying that's trying to come through and I'm butchering it. But that's because I'm also hearing a song, a different drum, different beat, different drum. What is that? And I can hear it in my mind, so I have to look it up. I will tell you I didn't do that for anyone else. I did get some other songs, but I think it's called Different Drum. Yeah. This one, Linda Ronstadt. So cute. Wait, you and I traveled to the beat of a different drum. Doesn't have to be the whole song that resonates because I think it's like a love song, but you and I traveled to the beat of a different drum. That's your inner child saying that about the two of you. I love that. That's so cute. We have the Three of Wands. If at some point in your life you have moved, even if it was, not very far, but for some of you it may have been moving countries, there's something about them being really proud of you having held on to something about like your culture or your history. There's something where they're like, they feel very proud of how you were able to find stability in a new place, but at the same time hold on to something that was very important to you. And for a lot of you, that will have to do with culture. I will say that some of the other readings were definitely kind of like call outs, like the inner child being like, hey, now that I have your attention, you need to listen to this. I will say yours is just kind of like here for the vibe. I feel like there's not really, well, we'll see. We'll see what else comes out. We have the Five of Pentacles. They want you to like see the beauty that they see in you. With the Empress coming out with the Five of Pentacles, first off, they definitely want to acknowledge if there's something that you've created, if there's like a business, if you are an artist, if there are things that you make. They want you to recognize that you are like on a journey, especially. Also, I want to say that if you are a woman and if you are specifically trying to conceive, if you're trying to have a family and that has been a difficult journey for you, they want to acknowledge that this is something that is perhaps weighing on you, but that it is part of your journey. Again, if you created a business, if there's something that you make and you feel like it's not getting the attention that it deserves or the traction that you would want it to have, I want you to understand that your inner child is just so in awe that you have made anything, that you have taken any steps in this direction. Like, not because they didn't expect it, but because they're just like, whoa. Really, that's so cool. Where you would say like, but I haven't sold many, or like it hasn't worked yet. They're just like, who cares? What? That's so cool. Like what you make is so cool. Specifically, if you create something, if there is something that you physically make that you're trying to sell, that you're trying, even if you're not trying to sell it, if you're just trying to, express yourself, there's something here where you are being so hard on yourself. You are kind of like applying a lens of perhaps capitalism. You're applying a lens of, perhaps it's not getting that many likes on social media. And it's like, that's not indicative of its worth. That's not indicative of its impressiveness. So there's something here where they are really trying to, and now it makes sense that it's been so positive. I mean, not that the other readings weren't positive, but it makes sense that they're like so hype, because I think they really are trying to get you to understand the lens through which you are judging yourself is skewed. Tell me about this Justice card. That can also have to do with your beauty, because there is something here, I got that earlier already, something that's really, that they find very beautiful. And you might be applying a lens, again, especially if you have a background from another culture. You might be immersed in a culture now that has different beauty standards, where your beauty or your self-expression, right, your aesthetic, kind of stands out. But just because it stands out doesn't mean that it's like seen as negative. It just kind of feels like something that it doesn't fit into the judgment of others. And so because you were raised that way, because you grew up in that kind of not fitting into those boxes, so you could have been a minority within the within your peer group. You could have been a minority, whether that is an ethnic or a racial minority, or whether that is because you had some kind of disability, because you had something that put you outside of a regular like standard of what other people were judging others by. So you already didn't fit into the like boxes of judgment. And so because of that, you were kind of freed from it at the same time. But you also internalized some of that, and it kind of put you in a place of not understanding your worth and not fully embracing your beauty, because you were it's kind of like comparing apples and oranges, right? It's kind of like, you can't have like a row of apples and then one orange, and you're comparing them, being like, okay, now which is the juiciest apple? Well, the orange is not a juicy apple, but it's the juiciest fruit on the table. You get what I'm saying? Tell me about this Justice card. One at a time, please. This deck is very new, so it's still very slippery, and it just keeps... There we go. Thank you. We have the 10 of Pentacles. Your inner child is so... oh my God, and we have the star at the bottom of the deck. Are you kidding me? These are beautiful energies. Can we focus? Thank you. Your inner child thinks you're an absolute rock star. Your inner child thinks you're freaking Ariana Grande. Your inner child thinks you are Lady Gaga. Your inner child thinks you are Beyonce. You are Taylor Swift. You are it. You are the hottest shit. And I would agree. I would absolutely agree. Your inner child is just like, why would you ever compare yourself to some lousy apples? I want to see what's under the sun. I will tell you that I have not looked underneath the bottom of the deck for any other group, and I just felt the urge to do it, and we have the sun card. Are you shitting me? I want to show you the Fool underneath that, but I'm just going to show you these two, because look at how gorgeous these ladies are. Not just because of the Empress. I'm definitely getting strong, very strong, like divine feminine energy from you. And of course, we all have masculine and feminine energy, so it doesn't have to mean that you are feminine presenting. In fact, with this Justice card, you could be very fluid in your expression, and that could be something that has contributed to you feeling like you don't fit in either one of the boxes, because you don't. But let's go back to the fact that we have the Ten of Pentacles, the Justice card. You know what this is telling me? Your inner child is saying, we deserve only the finest things. And I love that. I started saying it, and then I started hearing you deserve nothing but all the finer things. Now this whole world has no clue what to do with us. I got enough money in the bank for the two of us. That is Ludacris on Fergie's Glamorous. That's how they feel. They are like the glamorous, the flossy. Yeah, this whole world has no clue what to do with you because you're just out of everybody's league, okay? And don't roll your eyes. Don't roll your eyes. You are freaking bomb. And basically what I was trying to get back to is that your inner child says that they hate us because they ain't us. Okay. Your inner child is saying, like, you are just, like, so far off the charts that there is no way. They will not stop. They're just trying to, like, hype you up because there's something so... there's something very sweet about this energy that just makes me feel like that childlike confidence that you have before your spirit is broken, that feeling of like, yeah, I am a pop star, I am, you know, practicing my routines in my room because I am the main character. I love this energy. Your inner child is such a hype person, and they are so confident, and I just think that they do not want to fathom a world where you don't exude the confidence that they have. We have the Ten of Pentacles, and the fact that we have the Ten of Pentacles sitting next to the Five of Pentacles, this is very much like glass half full. No, glass is fully full, right? Your energy is just, it's so stoked. It's so stoked energy. It's so, your inner child is just like, she's giving pop star, and I am saying she because I just feel it strongly. She's giving pop star. She's giving main character energy, and she will not settle for less. I love her. She's so cool. She's so cool, and she would be shocked if you allowed the world to grind you down and make you believe that she's not cool. Oh, that makes me emotional. Oh, that makes me want to cry, because you wouldn't. You would think you yourself, you're like, oh, I'm not cool. I'm not main character energy. But if you saw her and if you felt her, you knew. You would never tell her, oh, girl, you're embarrassing. You would never tell her, oh, tone it down. You would never tell her that she's not the hottest shit, because she is. She's a diva. She's a performer. She's a star. You would never have the heart to tell her that she's not cool, because she's so cool. And it would break her heart. It would break her heart if you didn't see yourself the way that she sees herself. Oh, my goodness. I will tell you that every one of these readings has made me tear up. I knew they would too. Okay, any messages for group 4 from their inner child? We have connect. Oh, she wants to connect more, first of all. And I will not back down on the she. I don't care what you identify as. Your inner child is a diva. The wish card came out for a second. And then we have patience. Okay, especially with the connecting to back to this Five of Pentacles and then this Justice card. She knows. She is so sure. She has so much confidence. She's like, oh, of course we're going to be amazing. Of course we're going to get that thing that we want. Of course we're going to have that career of our dreams. Of course we're going to have that business of our dreams. No freaking doubt about it. And then we have flow at the bottom of the deck. It was coming out in the reverse, so that is something to take into account, that she's like, maybe you are forcing things in certain areas and you're not going with the flow enough. Your inner child wants you to connect more with people, specifically social media, especially if you have a business or something. She wants you to be bolder and weirder and more authentic on social media. You think, listen, you are absolutely one of a kind. But just like the way Lady Gaga is one of a kind, Beyonce is one of a kind. But they are like in the same stratosphere, right? So there are others like your kind, even though you are one of a kind. There are other people that are just as eccentric and beautiful and impressive as you are, but you got to put yourself out there to find them. She does not want you to be alone and thinking that you are the only unicorn left. So you are meant to connect in whichever shape or form that is that you are capable of. I think for some reason social media is just coming through very strongly, but also connecting in person. And then with patience, it's about, you don't just want anything landing on this hook. You want something that you are actually waiting for, which would be somebody who can see and recognize your beauty for what it is, recognize your genius, recognize your worth for what it is. So do not settle for less here, because she will not have it. Beautiful. We have creative power. That's so funny. That came out for group 3 too. I shuffled. We have creative power, which is another Empress energy here. So yeah, you are meant to create something, and I would be shocked if you haven't like taken action towards it already, whether this is your career or family. Again, there's something that you are working towards. And what you need is your little cheerleader, your little inner cheerleader, to remind you that it takes patience, but that it will be worth it. 100%. Oops, let's get you some advice here. Okay, for group 4, can we get some advice from their inner child? What is an energy for group 4 to release, to let go of? We have guide. And then what is an energy for group 4 to embrace, to grow towards? We have exorcist. And look at how the exorcist card is kind of, we have a indigenous imagery here, and we have indigenous imagery on the King of Pentacles as well. So I do think that there's something, again, when it comes to like either your ethnicity or your race, that your origins, your cultural heritage, that there is something that doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have indigenous roots. It is for some, but for others, this is just about a coming back to who you are. It's about coming back to your roots, right? So that doesn't necessarily have to mean indigenous roots, but it is an ask for you to not let go of who you were, who you are at your core, because it's part of your identity and it's part of what makes you special. Okay, energy to release, to let go of. We have guide. It says the shadow attribute places financial gain and control over imparting spiritual insight. Yeah. So you might think that the lack of financial, or because it doesn't just have to be about money, the lack of attention or lack of financial payout that you've received, lack of proof of something being received, that means that what you have to share isn't worth it, right? This is about what you need to release here is the idea that somebody else has something that you don't. And what you need to embrace, it says freeing yourself and others of destructive impulses. So Exorcist is about letting go of those internalized judgments that, again, I think you put up a really good fight, but we live in a capitalist patriarchy. There is so much that is ingrained in us just through the media that we consume, through, the things that we learn, that we are told to pursue, the social media, all of it. It's not one source of evil. It's a web, right? And so even though you have done a great job in maintaining some kind of authenticity, there are still some levels that go beyond what you've been able to free yourself from, where your inner child is saying, like, there are still some things that we need to let go of. And I think a lot of it has to do with material fears and concerns around material matters, and that could be material as in money, but that can also be material as in looks. And so there's something where it is important for you to stay connected to your roots, to who you are, to your authenticity, and to free yourself from that internalized, for some reason, misogyny wanted to come up. So it could be that it has to do with that, but it doesn't have to be a strictly misogyny. It could have to do with lots of systems of oppression that you are meant to free yourself from. Let's get 2 cards from this deck. But I will say it again, your inner child thinks you are an absolute rock star. And who are we to argue with her? We have the show must go on. Look at Homer Simpson here. Everybody makes mistakes. She is such a diva. This is a Homer Simpson quote, but as I'm reading it, I'm immediately hearing everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. And I don't even know that song. Is it Hilary Duff? I literally don't even know that song. I just know that line. Anyways, he says, everybody makes mistakes. That's why they put erasers on pencils. So if there is some kind of investment, something that you put a lot of effort into that recently hasn't paid out with that 5 of Pentacles, your inner child is saying, that was just a fluke. It happens. That does not stop her from seeing your shine, from seeing your excellence. It's like, that's just part of the journey. Like, not in the least concerned, because she knows that you are working your way towards this 10 of Pentacles, which is kind of like an unavoidable prophecy is what's coming out. Very intense. Creative feminine energy. Exactly. Say it again. Creative feminine energy. We see the star, we see the sun, we see the Empress, we see creative power, we see creative feminine energy with the 10 of Pentacles, and we love to freaking see it. Oof, okay. The power that I feel from that. The cosmos is within you. Use this time to begin a new creative project. Gather inspiration, okay? If you've been working on something, it's cool. there is a little something that is missing. There's a little something to add, to give it a twist, and it has everything to do with your authenticity, has everything to do with you making it more of yourself. Okay? I love this energy. It's so cool, because I'm telling you, your inner child is just such a freaking hype man for you. Let's get a moon card. We have assessing. At the bottom of the deck, we have realization. And I think that's going hand in hand with what I was just saying, in terms of there's just something that you gotta tweak. And again, social media is coming through for some reason, but there's just something about you, about what you're creating, about what you're trying to achieve, where it's just a little tweak. And I think the tweak has to do with a shift in perspective. And that shift in perspective is going to make a huge difference. And the fact that she is looking out over at this sun and this star, the sun and the star, could have to do something about your chart, your astrology chart, something significant. Changing your perspective on some of your placements might be able to unlock something. But in any case, I am getting that this is a perspective shift in seeing your power, you are meant to see yourself the way that your inner child sees you. The more that you tap into seeing yourself the way your inner child sees you, the like smoother the transition into achieving this 10 of Pentacles will be. And I'm telling you, she would be shocked. She's like, what do you mean you don't believe in yourself? What do you mean you're doubting yourself? Your inner child has the audacity, all of the audacity, and you need to embrace that more. Any last considerations or advice? We have deep roots, and we have faithfully, and I love that. Oh, okay, calm down. They wanted this one too. That's why the drama. Okay, we have deep roots, faithfully, and inclusions. And this makes sense to me because, again, there's something about your history. There's something about you that, again, was at some point in time maybe used against you, or felt like it was not working in your favor when it comes to other people judging you. But now is the time where it's like it helps you stand out. And so faithfully is all about embracing your roots, embracing who you are authentically, and including it. And that's what gets you to this 10 of Pentacles. Look at the gold. That's what gets you to your success, is when you include it. And that's what your inner child is trying to get you to realize here, that there's something that where you thought you had to make yourself more like everyone else, and your inner child is like, absolutely not. You got to make yourself more like you. And that's when the magic happens. I love that. That was beautiful energy. Look at how this is mirroring. We have the coins and the gold up here, and then this is pink. I know everything looks pink in this lighting right now, but this is pink. And the way that that's mirroring, it's really about flipping that right side up. All right, I'm going to leave it there. The sun is like, can I get my moment, please? I'm going to leave it there. You are a rock star. Don't you forget it. Don't you dare forget it. You are a diva. Don't you forget it. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really hope that it resonates. Keep in mind, this is just kind of the first push for you to be connecting with your inner child over the next coming weeks. So do what you got to do to listen to her and embrace what she has to tell you, because she will not be ignored. All right. Thank you for hanging out. I hope it resonates, and I hope I get to read for you again sometime. If you would like to book a personal reading, you can do so only on my website. The link is in the description below. Other than that, I do hope I get to read for you again sometime. Until then, take care.